Catus Maximus here. This time I'm doing a 5,000 subscriber toolbox tour. A few things. I used to actually be a mechanic, a flat rate mechanic, but I stopped that a long time ago. Kind of medical issues known as a DVT or deep vein thrombosis in my leg. So it's a blood clot. And not really knowing what it was, those things kind of come on progressively, and I really warn people, if you ever have your arms or your legs for just some reason feels like you got a bad cramp or hit it against something and it doesn't go away for a week or 10 days and then your whole leg starts swelling, go to the doctor. Anyway, I used to have, an older Mac toolbox in addition to this one, and then, I ended up selling it after I took a more mundane kind of sit-down job, lower paying too. So I ended up selling that, kind of cramming all my tools into this box. Now, I've reviewed a lot of tools. I've actually sold a lot of the power tools I started off with, and even some of the hand tools. This box definitely does not hold, everything that I've reviewed. And I have it like in bins and on shelves, and I'll do maybe a tour of that kind of stuff later, maybe when I'm in a better place. But this is just what I have in this chest. I didn't even know what the dimensions were. This is an old Husky I got at Home Depot. It's totally overloaded. Actually, it's dangerously overloaded. I was saving my pennies to get back into a better and a bigger toolbox. I've really been eyeing those U.S. General or the Harbor Freight Industrial ones. Those things are pretty darn nice for the price. I mean, the heavy ones with the double rollers, they have a toolbox there, a big triple row that's rated at like 5,000 pounds or 6,000 pounds of capacity. It's crazy. You can set a car on it and have it loaded with tools. But I decided I like this YouTube thing, so I spent my pennies. I was going to get a better camera, but my editing's not great. I basically just put in that subscribe logo. It's because I haven't had a PC computer for quite a while. Several years, I know, it's strange. I've actually been doing all this on a cell phone, so I decided that I needed a computer first before I could do anything with better images and video from better cameras. And so I'll still use this as a camera, but I did buy a new machine, a video editing workstation, so that will be coming in like a couple weeks, or a week actually, hopefully, and should be able to improve my reviews, do a little more action shots, because it'll be easier to take various pieces of footage and then splice them together on a PC and try to edit them rather than trying to do it through Samsung's built-in video editor, which I'll have to give credit for is actually pretty good for a cell phone. And quite frankly, reprocessing 1080 video using its video editor is reasonably quick. Really, especially when you're considering it's all on a cell phone. Cell phones are a lot more powerful than people think, especially the newer generation ones. So this is going to hold my 1/4 inch through 1/2 inch sockets, my box wrenches, adjustable end wrenches, and some more miscellaneous stuff. But all taps and dies and drill bits and just endless stuff. I haven't even gotten into like automotive and shop chemicals. I actually have a huge amount of varying different stuff that comes in a can that I've been wanting to review. One of them has been like this Prolong, which I've actually had really good luck with. And they have just the most unbelievable advertising on the can here, like no equal in the world. Anti-gravity sprayer. And there's some more things on the review list that are coming up, I guess, you guys. There's this thing that's actually at Harbor Freight. This little can gun thing. This is, holy smokes, it's made in Ashland, Oregon. Surprisingly enough, it's American made. And it's a little thing that snaps onto these cans and gives you this handle and trigger. I thought that's pretty cool. And I have this thing I was going to review. This is one of these little Irwin, like a laser that bolts on the side of a saw. You can use it on a hand circular saw. I was going to put it on a chop saw. But as it spins, it shoots out a laser beam. I think we can see it here. There you go. You can see it flashing. Anyway, let's get into this toolbox tour. I'll do the top drawer last because it's totally overloaded. Let's do these side drawers. And I think I've been blabbing too much, but I just wanted to mention again, I really appreciate the support and subscribers. I think a lot of people kind of get ahead of themselves, especially doing the kind of videos that I do, with the expectations of how many people would subscribe to their channel. And so I'm actually really happy about the 5,000 subscribers. And I think it's great. That's a lot of people who are kind of interested in the things I am, and I've been wanting to do more projects. But like doing the reviews too, because it's kind of the whole thing. You do projects, and then what kind of tools and materials you use with those projects. And I just wanted to get into the detail. You know, a lot of this is just from me, years and years of just trying to find information on all these old and used tools that I buy, and they're just, it's, you know, a forum post here, maybe one Amazon, you know, 3-sentence review there, no YouTube videos, or a couple YouTube videos, which are just, you know, even worse than mine. So that's kind of the impetus and why I do so many videos. I want to talk about them, so I, you know, break it up. And I think it's just great how many people have gotten and have subscribed and are supporting me. And hence buying the computer. I really like doing this YouTube thing. I'm going to do it for a while. So we'll just start off with this drawer. This whole chest is a 18 by 40 by 35 old Husky. I think I paid, holy smokes, I've had this thing for like 15 years. More than 15 years. And I paid $400 for it on like some kind of special coupon deal at Home Depot. And it's held up, even being really dangerously overloaded, including this top drawer, and I'll show you why I'm doing that last. So we got this first narrow drawer on the right. It is a 13 drawer cabinet, and I just got, you know, those wood chisels. I've reviewed all these. Some spare picks. I have a whole, you know, collection of picks, but those are the spare ones, the microplanes, that kind of stuff. We'll get in a little closer. This camera has a really narrow viewing angle. Really wanted to get a new one at some point. I don't know if I ever reviewed these, but I do have some of the original Stanley Professional American-made ones. These are the ones I always remember, you know, like these are the ones my father had used, I mean, his entire construction career. I mean, we're talking 35 years or something, you know, it was like he had some of these chisels that were just so unbelievably beat up and still were working, had to be resharpened so many times that they were like half length. Anyway, just some, you know, a lot of the wood chisels, these are the Fat Max ones. Or I should say that one of them is a standard, but new generation, and then they're the thick, Fat Max ones. I've done reviews on these. I have this second drawer here, which has, you know, other cutting tools. So this is all the utility knives. I've done reviews on all those. I haven't done reviews on the scissors yet, and I'm debating, you know, the scissors are kind of scissors. These are those little socket adapters. So these are a little socket that goes into another socket, or you can use these in a box wrench. They're pretty neat. I've done a review on those. These scissors, Harbor Freight still has them for a while there. Maybe it was like 20 years ago these kind of scissors came out, and they were advertised as cut and do anything, you know, this universal super duty utility scissors, and most of them were like these. They were kind of Chinese knockoffs, but they were the ones that really gained a reputation were these right here, which were these. If we can get this to focus. Come on, light. There we go. These are actual German ones. And these are, if we can get that to focus there, those are Skyars or something. Those are the real deal. And I try to actually be nice to them. Those are the only pair that I found. And these are some New Zealand scissors. And I really like these because they work very well on thin plastic sheeting and packaging that sometimes other scissors will get caught up on. Getting into this next drawer here. This has a lot of gauges. I've done review in comparison of tire pressure gauges, but this has tire pressure gauges, so my loops, lots of other gauges, you know, compression testers, vacuum and boost testers, you know, thermometers, mechanical and glass type thermometers. I probably should do a review of those one of these days. I do have a neat little gauge here that I probably should do a review on. This is a very low pressure. See that? That is a pressure gauge that operates in ounces per square inch. And its maximum is 6 ounces per square inch. So that can register less than half a PSI max. So when people, especially like 4x4 guys say, oh, I do really low pressure in my tires, I say, how low a pressure? You don't get down to ounces a square inch. So I don't do auto mechanics the same way, so I don't need to have all the wrenches and all that kind of stuff like all lined up perfectly and really mostly empty drawers so I can access them all super fast. You know, I do more personal projects and help friends out. So, you know, even though this is just an enormous pile of box wrenches in a drawer, it's pretty easy for me to dig up whatever I need. This is all the other than just normal box wrenches is what I mean to say. So this has everything from, you know, stubbies in there, and I've done reviews of all these wrenches. I have a big wrench series, you know, those old USA Craftsman reversing ratcheting wrenches. If this camera would focus, it does this whole averaging of what's on the screen, I figured out. But these were like some of the best reversible ratcheting box wrenches I ever seen, was those Craftsman's. These are those open-end ratcheting ones. On and on. We have spline, you know, the carbon finished spline Craftsman's. We've got these Blackhawk Flex. And somebody had posted a comment about the hinges getting loose on these. I think that is inevitable on any tool, but these Blackhawks have never given me an issue. And what I mean is, like, on this 12 millimeters, is that what this is? Yeah, 12 millimeter. I mean, I've worn the carbon finish almost to a shine on that, and the hinge is still pretty rigid on it. You know, 6-point box wrenches, those are always cool. If the camera would focus on it, there we go. Almost. Come on, there we go. And if I had another camera person, I should have had somebody hold the camera. So this is definitely a vlog style video. At least I did put up a bright light so it wasn't so dark. So standard, you know, common 12-point combination open-end box wrenches is what I have in this drawer. I've also reviewed most of these. And this is an eclectic collection. I have a review of these Huskies that I really like that were intermediate long handle. That's like the base set. And then tool building, so I just been individually buying wrenches. They like a Pro Value 24 millimeter, and over the years, you know, a Craftsman 25 millimeter, and that's just how you end up building a nice complete set. I have like one snap-on carbon finish, an odd size. That's how I ended up finding it. You know, we've got a Proto in there, right there. We've got first generation KD, or early KDs, which I kind of liked. And that's a 29 millimeter, another hard to find size. And then KD came out with these, which are like the second generation ones, and they're just beautiful. They're some of the nicest wrenches I've seen, and really like them. And as you can see, there's a 30 millimeter, and I even have a 32 millimeter KD, so pretty stoked about those wrench sizes. It's always nice to find a big wrench, especially when it's a professional brand. Down in the bottom here, we've got various pullers, little pipe cutters. I think I should do a review in comparison of pipe cutters. I don't know if I have. I will take a look. I've done reviews of this. This is that Harmonic balancer installer set. This is that bushing driver set that Harbor Freight used to sell, and then they stopped selling, but they're still available online and on Amazon. They can be used for bearings too, but no, they won't drive in around the shaft, of course, because you have to have a handle in the center of them. I've got, you know, tubing benders in here, oil filter sockets, and strap wrenches and strap sockets and chain tools, and just miscellaneous stuff. If you're ever hunting around in tools and you find one of these things, this is one of those little tools that turns the little lock washers for drum brakes, and it took me a long time to figure out that's what those tools were, and this is a nice one with a aluminum handle. This thing's neat. I wish more tool manufacturers would make these kind of things. This is a little Max like socket set. It has a little handle on it, but it's bent over. It's actually intended to hook onto the side of a toolbox or right here on the inside of the drawer, and I think that's genius, where you could have hanging bins go around the inside of your toolbox. I think that would be very, very cool. And other pullers. I've done a bunch of puller videos, and so that's really what's in this drawer here. You don't use pullers very often. I don't use pullers, besides kind of like standard 2 and 3 jaw. And other than that, it's not a problem that they're really super buried. I mean, we can see how cheesy this toolbox is. It's really just wobbly and flexy. We just got one kind of standard, you know, this is like a cabinet grade slide there. This is not a heavy duty slide. But surprisingly enough, the toolbox is held up. You'll notice I don't have it on wheels because, yes, it was so overloaded. The whole bottom was bowing. So I knew I had to just set it on the ground so that this vertical column, there's so much weight. This vertical column here is what's taking all the load from the drawers. And it was, you know, delivering in the bottom. There's a couple of cross beams, but it's still just bending a lot right there. So I knew I had to get that on the ground. Heading back up the other side here. And sorry for the video angles or being too close. I wish this had a wider viewing angle on the camera once again. And I don't have a lot of experience doing the whole vlog style holding the camera. I don't know how shaky it is. I do have image stabilization turned on, so hopefully it's not too bad. I think I never really got these in a review, but these are these Tourney. These are oil filter wrenches. but they're a pinch style, but instead of a strap, they use these series of laminated jaws with teeth, and I actually like them a lot. They work pretty well. I've got a couple oil filter ones, and I have a small one for like sensors. And this is one of those tools that used to be really nice and then got cheesy. So this one, you know, this tourney tool, there it is, tourney filter wrench, patented. You know, it looks pretty nice, and it still is, if this camera would still focus for me. So it has arrows to show which direction to turn it, and it's riveted. It looks pretty good. If we get close, the rivets are pretty smooth. Japanese do a very good job, even when they're cheesy rivets, come on. But we can see they're kind of hollow right there. They're not the best. And down here, there it is. This is an older, like, original tourney, and it's actually a lot better. The rivets look a little bit nicer. We can see that the chrome plating's a little bit better. This versus these, you can see that there's more indentation there than there is in this. And on the back side, the rivets are, you know, forged over. So they used to be, even this Japanese tool brand used to be a lot better than it is now. So obviously we have all the big wrenches, all the way up through about 2 inches, and anything larger than 2 inches they're all on the shelf, because they won't fit even crossways. This is a horribly overloaded drawer, dangerously so. I mean, you shouldn't have a drawer full of, you know, all these wrenches, big 2-inch ones. I mean, this is a 1 11/16. We've got a 1 7/16. And a lot of this stuff I just pick up used, one at a time. You know, $15 for that Williams Super Wrench, $10 for this Proto. I'll tell you, a new Proto 1 11/16 combination box wrench is a heck of a lot more than $10. So that's why I picked them up. I've never done a video on pipe wrenches, sometimes called monkey wrenches, but I think that's a less politically correct term now. We can see one down there, so I'll eventually make a video of those. I have like one big snap on there. I don't even know what that is. That's a 1 9/16 snapper right there. Cone wrenches, you know, all my adjustable wrenches are kind of piled in the bottom here. And everything that is imperial or fractional is in here. And you end up with a lot more of the large and fractional stuff than you do metric stuff. So this has like all the wrenches. In the bottom, it actually looks, I forgot to mention, these drawers over here, this is all metric. That's all metric. This is all metric. There's like the same amount of wrenches in this drawer, but all the small ones are under the big pile. I don't use these very often. I actually have another beater set, which I pretty much use. I know it's ridiculous. And I just spent my pennies on a video editing computer for YouTube instead of buying another toolbox. But I think it's a better investment because I want to continue to do YouTube. And the better I do at YouTube will give me more pennies to get a box in the future. Now we can see how badly overloaded this is. You can see how this whole thing is laying out. I mean, literally, this whole roller is just about to just fold its way and tear its way out of that guide. And it's surprising. It's held up for years like that. I eventually want to get rid of this toolbox or just use it as a beater. I think I'll give it to a friend at some point, just as a birthday gift. Because if this is something I would sell this. You know, I put this on Craigslist for like $100, $150. I'm not somebody who charges a lot of money. I always get, you know, try to be reasonable about it. It seems so many people are just, you know, I look at like skill saws on Craigslist and they're like $100 or $120. And I'm like, come on, they're like $150 or $180 new. They're $150 new for the old one that you have and you want in your retail. It just, no thanks. So I'm the kind of person who sold skill saws for $35 and $50. Just because, you know, make somebody happy, you know, give them something to look forward to, sell them a little bit cheaper of a skill saw, and they can, you know, get a coffee. So this is all the screwdrivers. I've reviewed most of these. I do have a whole Husky set in here, which I have not reviewed, and I may review, but this is pretty much all the hand screwdrivers that are not hex interchangeable. So there are no hand screwdrivers that take these. Nothing that is strange. So there's no Torx or Stars or... I mean, there's a few bits in like a set like that, but this is all Phillips and slot head in here. Amazingly enough. I do have the radio plastic screwdriver set there, which I reviewed. and some like right angle, but that's what this whole drawer is precision all the way up through large, just Phillips and slot head screwdrivers. I have insulated ones down there. You know, I did a review and comparison of these Harbor Freight Pittsburgh Professionals versus the Quinn, and I actually like those Pittsburgh Professionals, so they're on top, and they're kind of my beater set. Screwdrivers are cheap too, and somehow I got addicted to them, so I won't be buying any more screwdrivers in the future. Only ones that I wear out, but not in the foreseeable future. So let's get into the half-inch drawer here. So this is like the big socket half-inch drawer. So the half-inch is actually 2 drawers. This is not all of it. But I spent a long time. This Harbor Freight torque sticks. The impact sticks for putting on lug nuts, but you can use them by hand. I did a review of those. Actually, it was one of my better reviews, if I do say so myself. And we've got extensions and all sorts of sockets and super deep well sockets. I think I did a review and comparison of unique sockets, if I can get this out of here. But they make sockets like this, which are just super. This is an old proto, what is that, 1 3/8. But even compared to standard deep wells, it's like a double deep well. I always thought that was kind of cool. Those are particularly rare to use. You pretty much only buy those when you specifically need them. You know, 4-wheel drive lock nut sockets, the hand impact driver, oil sender and sensor sockets. This is a huge set of all metric deep wells. So these are actually those Pittsburghs, 12-point impact, and I was pretty happy about these Pittsburgh Pros. I did a review of them, and think they're pretty decent. It's hard to find 12-point impact sockets. So I picked those up. This is mainly a Husky set of the 6-point half-inch drive deep well impacts. That was my base set, and then I've just been building up with all sorts of different brands to get up to a large size. So this is it's not every single size by the millimeter, but it's pretty darn close. So this is a 24-piece set from 10 millimeter all the way up to 38 millimeter, just missing a few sizes. But it's always kind of nice when you have really complete socket sets like that. You always are able to find the socket that fits right. And many times, an Imperial socket, for some reason, fits on that metric fastener just a little bit better. And sometimes the metric socket fits on the fractional fastener just a little bit better. So it's really nice to have sets of both. And with the metric, you can get them all in 1 millimeter increments. And I think that's just a little bit finer than 1/16 of an inch. Yes, it is finer than 6. There's 25 millimeters an inch, and there's only 16/16 in an inch. So you get finer sizing when you get it by the per millimeter. So I do like that a lot. Heavy-duty half-inch drive, Phillips and slot head socket drivers. I have less, but these are the Imperial 6-point, and under them is another set of the fractional 12-point impacts and some short extensions, that kind of stuff here. Getting into the next drawer, this is going to be a long video. We have the other half-inch drive drawer. So we have all sorts of stuff in here. I ended up selling, I had a whole big set of snap-on 6-point short wells, sockets like these. I ended up selling them, and I have a few of the smaller ones, and it wasn't a big deal. I have plenty of other sizes, and Snap-on always seems to sell so well. I may end up getting another set, but not a Snap-on brand. But we have 6-point and 12-point chrome short well. We have all the impact short wells. We've got the hex, these Pittsburgh Professional intermediate length hex sockets. We've got the impact swivel sockets. It's just on and on, to tell you the truth. And I haven't reviewed like every possible socket set. If I review a Mastercraft set, I may have done the 3/8 set, but there's no reason to do the 1/4 inch, the 3/8, and the 1/2 inch all together. These are basically the same sockets, just different sizes. So I haven't been that redundant. So there are more sockets in this toolbox than I've reviewed, just because I haven't done just the grossly redundant. This is a pretty neat little set here. This is my big 6-point impact metric set. This is an 18-piece set. That's a little 8mm proto half-inch drive 6-point impact. I mean, There's no 8mm bolt that I cannot remove with that socket, that's for sure. But that's what a really nice, all the way up through 27mm, missing a couple sizes, but 18 sizes from 8 to 27. Really always kind of impressive. When I bring it out for friends, they're always like, wow, it's a huge socket strip. And I'm like, yeah, I can grab it and I'll have whatever size I need. Really, even if it's from the smallest to the largest, or even if it's some in-between size. So I like those big sockets. Or excuse me, big rails of sockets. That's what I'm trying to say. Imperial, we've got swivels and adapters, and I don't even want to dig all this up. There are those Pittsburgh star sockets. We've got common size, metric, and imperial. Allen sockets. These are some protos. Those are pretty nice. I've got even like some Master Mechanic 12-point deep wells there. Some big sets of Powerbuilt 6-point chrome deep wells there. Really is redundant when you have the impact sockets. Those are those square drive Max sockets. I did a review of those. I ended up getting my impacts after I had a bunch of chrome sockets, but if I had to do the other way around, I probably would have just got impacts and stuck with that. Although there's many situations where the thinner wall of chrome sockets gets you in the better situations. Or tighter spots, that kind of thing. We've got a strip of the 4 points, so 4-point sockets are these. They're only for driving square-headed things, which are actually surprisingly common. And we've got these large E-Torques. That's a huge one. That's like an E24 or something. Yeah, that's an E24, an old OTC. OTC is still around. They're still a pretty good brand, if I can get that on there. All right, let's go in. This would be the last of the 1/2-inch sockets. But yeah, these drawers are definitely well loaded. Definitely couldn't have it like that if you're in a shop. You spend all your time digging through tools. You never get any work done. But it works for me here. So this is all the 1/2-inch. These are all the ratchets and the breaker bars and all the 1/2-inch drive stuff. There's a spinner handle or proto in that previous drawer. But I've reviewed most of this stuff. I actually had a subscriber give me some fuss about the fact that I had done a review and comparison of the Harbor Freight Icon versus the Pittsburgh Pro, these long handle breaker bars, and was like, oh, you're going to return it? And that's not a big deal. I don't review stuff and return it. But if I buy a $50 Icon breaker bar and find that it is just not worth the price increase over my current Pittsburgh, and I haven't done anything to it, it doesn't have any kind of special packaging that I've unwrapped in plastic bags, it's just a thing on a plastic holder, and if I haven't used it, then it's fine. Sorry I had a little buyer remorse, but it's like, I liked it, I bought it, and then it turns out, it really wasn't worth the $50. I could do a lot for $50, drive to work for several weeks. I've kept just about everything, but, even then, when that subscriber, I actually kept that darn Icon breaker bar, even though I don't know why I did. Didn't like the criticism. I need to get over that. So this is just all this 1/2-inch, and I've done reviews and comparisons. Those are some of my earlier videos. And so that's what just a big thin drawer of just a ton of ratchets and T-handles and breaker bars all looks like. We haven't gotten into 1/4 inch. I managed to cram it all into one of those thin wide drawers. But this is what like a really complete set of 1/4 inch looks like. Like everything. Way too many ratchets, way too many spinner handles. I just reviewed this Harbor Freight spinner handle, and you can see it in the drawer. Right there, there's a whopping 10 different spinner handles. These are Craftsman and Proto and SK and Snap-on and everybody. There's those, and this thing is just like a massive compared to the actual standard spinner handles. These are like little Craftsman stuff in the socket magnets, but you can only use them with like 5 socket sizes, so I don't even use them. And I've done pretty much reviews of all this. I just have so many sockets. I've got, the little spline sockets. If you can get that back in there. The little Shortwell GM Power Torque hex sockets. These are sold at O'Reilly's. They're still there. And I really like them. It's the only place I've ever seen where they have these little 1/4 inch impact Torques and hex. We have the Lyle. Actually, I take that back. There are these Lyles. But, the Lyles actually aren't that good. They are surprisingly soft. And I did some reviews and people commented. And actually, I was using a T20 and the darn thing spun off. And I used a DeWalt Impact T20 and just ripped the fastener right out of there. So I was surprised a little DeWalt bit took a fastener out that caused the Lyle to twist off. But it did. We've got some deep well splines, miscellaneous, super tiny pin and socket security Torques. we've got some of those sockets. You want to talk about expensive Phillips and slot head bits. These socket, you know, they're forged chrome vanadium socket bits, slot head and Phillips. Those things can be several dollars each for a single Phillips bit. I've got just random stuff down there, you know, universals. Right here is that SK metric and standard 1/4 inch drive impact wobbles. I like to do this where if I have common sizes, 10 millimeter, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 12 millimeter, I'll take some extra kind of junky sockets and just put them on a separate strip, which will have, you know, the most commonly used sizes. And then there's the rest, you know, Craftsman, you know, 1/4 inch universal joint type sockets, not the CV joints like Impacts. Impact short well, Impact 1/4 inch, Impact deep well. Most of those are gear wrench except for these are SK right here, the metric ones. 12 point and 6 point short well metric and standard. These are those. These they also sell at O'Reilly's. These are those super duper stubby. They're like 30% shorter than a standard socket. They're really a lot shorter. Really like those. And then deep wells. And then these are like the world's worst Craftsman. These are like the Chinese Craftsmans, and they're just terrible. You can see how some of the coloring, the chrome plating is like not good. Bad chamfering. One of these doesn't even fit on a ratchet because it's been misforged. And to finish up this long half-hour video, this is just outright dangerous. When I open this out, I pull out the tools, and I don't leave this drawer hanging open. We can see that the hinge here, it's hard to get a perspective unless I do something like this. And get the focus over. Yeah, you can see how far that's splaying out. It is like dangerous. So, save my pennies. I think I did a review. I think these are Craftsman's as well. These are more socket inserts, but these are magnetic inserts. But these cover more range of sizes. And I have blue and yellow, so those are metric and standard. And I've done a lot of 3/8 reviews. That's what like 200 pounds of 3/8 tools looks like. You know, most times I just grab whatever ratchet's on top, and I've got some layering, but most of the sockets are all vertical, and so it's pretty easy to pop out whatever size I need. Or I just get a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 inch because it's easier to grab. But that's what I vary for. A lot of people, there's quite a few people who do pretty good at filling their toolboxes, but that's kind of the purpose of this video, so people can see, you know, what a truly overloaded, filled to the brim toolbox looks like. And man, I've got a lot of 3/8 sockets. Part of why I've collected all these tools is because I've always liked taking apart stuff and working on things, and I hated running into some situation where I didn't have the right tool or the right size, the right combination of socket, extension, etc. So that's why I have all this variety, so I can just, no matter what kind of challenge I get into, I'll have the tool to deal with it. At least taking it apart and working on fasteners. And there's pretty much everything you can think of. I don't have deep well impact swivels, but I've got like a big SK set down there. That's a really nice 15-piece set that I got 15 years ago, a long time. Really started collecting tools early. And just all the things that I've done, reviews and comparisons, whether it's extensions or various adapters, you know, or universal joints. I used to break these quite a few, or I've broken quite a few of them, so that's why I built up this big collection. Because I figure if I'm going to break these, I'm going to have a ton of them on hand. So every time I'd find one used, I would pick it up whenever it was a decent brand. And recently I just reviewed these Duralast Pentalobe and triple square sockets. Really nice to find these, so I finally have them. It used to be, and this is what I had before, those Duralast sockets, was these types of things to work on the triple squares. And I don't know why they were like this initially. They were really funky to use, but I'm sure glad I found the sockets. Here's some more random tools. So down here I did a review of this oil plug socket set. That was like the 2nd generation Harbor Freight. There's actually a 1st generation of these things. This is what the 1st generation oil plug socket set. So oil plug sockets are various square sizes, internal squares, and certain common sizes of hex. And these you just use a 3/4 inch or 19 millimeter wrench on, or you would have something like this where you'd have a steel rod and you would actually slide it through the hole like that, and then use that as the your breaker handle essentially. So they were really funky. They've actually held up okay, but yeah, they were just these totally funky items, and then they finally improved them to these, and then they stopped selling them, so go figure. And then, of course, the obligatory YouTube sticker. So I think I'm going to end the Toolbox tour here, half-hour long, 35-minute long video. But I figured, you know, I'll do a proper one, at least you got some up-close looks, and I once again really appreciate the 5,000 subscribers and passing that, and if you do enjoy my content or like supporting a tool YouTuber and review YouTuber, I do review more than just tools, please do subscribe to the Catus Maximus channel. And to everybody who has subscribed, once again, thank you so much. Until next time, Catus Maximus out.